Save up to $50 at CrimsonTrace.com. Laser sighting systems from Crimson Trace will make you a more accurate and confident shooter. No personal protection firearm is fully equipped without a laser sighting system from Crimson Trace. Visit CrimsonTrace.com November 29th through December 25th and save up to $50 on the one tool no personal protection firearm should be without: a Crimson Trace laser sight. Save up to $50 now through Christmas Day at CrimsonTrace.com.
Today on Gun Talk, Tom talks with the author of a book that tells what really happened with Fast and Furious, the government gun smuggling program that equipped murderers. He'll talk about the web attack on a woman who posted a photo of her trophy lion and reveal a great gift for the girls on your gift list. Plus, you can talk to Tom on the air at 866-TALK-GUN. Call now and lock and load.
All right, saddle up, lock and load, get ready. We're going to be talking about guns for about 3 hours or so. I'm Tom Gresham, your host. If you have a comment, a question, if you're trying to figure out what to get for somebody on your Christmas list, if it's gun, firearm, optic, ammo related, I can help you out. We'll yak about it. If I don't know the answer, I'll make it up. No, I don't do that. If I don't know the answer, I'll just tell you I don't know the answer, but we'll get some help from all of our friends, people who are listening, because none of us is as smart as all of us, and all of us put together, we generally can find the answer to almost anything. A lot of things going on. Just finished writing a piece that'll be appearing in the Columbus Dispatch a little bit later this week on the 1-year anniversary of the Newtown shootings, kind of a contrarian view, if you will, kind of a what everybody has missed or why the gun ban industry doesn't understand why America doesn't want to join them in banning guns, and why, frankly, a lot of people looked at that as they have with other shootings and came to a completely different conclusion, that one being, I better take care of myself and my family because it's apparent to me no one else is going to. And if you talk to any veteran law enforcement officer out there, he or she's going to say, look, we're not going to be there when it happens. I mean, it would be unbelievably rare, fortuitous for you, but we're probably not going to be there. You probably better take care of yourself. Now, this does not apply to what I call bureaucrats with badges, politically appointed police chiefs, who often take a political agenda and run with it based on their bosses, what their boss wants. And we'll get into that just a little bit later on. But, one of the big stories in firearms, gun rights, and frankly in government over the past several years has been the Fast and Furious debacle, story, disaster, however you want to characterize it. Basically the United States government program to allow firearms to be purchased and moved into Mexico with at least ostensibly, the idea of somehow tracking them. It went... Some say it went terribly wrong. Some say it never had a chance. But if you really want to find out what actually really and truly happened, finally there is a book out by somebody who was there, who's not only there, but at the center of the whole thing. And he joins us right now. John Dodson is the author of The Unarmed Truth. John, thank you so much for spending some time with us.
Oh, it's my pleasure, sir. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Now, how long, let me explain. To people who might not know, you're an ATF agent. You were involved with the Fast and Furious program. You're still working for the ATF. Is that correct?
Correct. Yes, sir.
Okay. How long have you worked for ATF?
Since 2004.
Okay. Background in law enforcement, background in military, and I'll add this in. Somebody who frankly takes his oath seriously, because you went so far out on a limb that it made it pretty easy for folks to try to cut it off on you. When Fast and Furious broke, well, I guess let me ask you, in your book, The Unarmed Truth, My Fight to Blow the Whistle and Expose Fast and Furious, at what point in the process, as this program is going along, did you start having questions or concerns about it?
Well, sir, I had questions pretty much right away. I was transferred to Phoenix in December of 2009, and we probably did our first operation out in the field, outside of the office, come January of 2010. And the very first time, questions started to develop when we had, known straw purchasers that were allowed to make purchases of, multiple AK variants or like FN-57 pistols, all weapons of choice for the drug cartels, and we were taking no enforcement action.
But when you say taking no enforcement action, you're watching people buy these guns, and you know that they're going to smuggle them into Mexico. I mean, that's the whole idea behind the program. Now, what we were told was, well, the idea was to track them, but there really was no way to track these guns, was there?
Well, no, sir. Unless your definition of tracking is, you observe them when they're purchased, and then you wait for them to be recovered in a crime somewhere and traced. And if that's your definition of tracking, that's what we were doing. But, tracking to me would involve, tracking the firearm from its point of sale, ultimately to that criminal element that it got to, which we weren't doing. We were observing the sale, then just backing off and waiting for the traces to come in.
In essence, is it overstating it if I say the program was actually designed to facilitate crime and then go to the crime scene and use that evidence? And I'm not even sure to do what, because it's not like anybody was surprised that the narco-terrorists were committing murder. What was the idea?
You're correct, sir. And like I say, I can't tell you what that evidence would be good for. If, as I was told, the ultimate goal is to take down a cartel, you can't get there from the way we were doing things, like to observe the straw purchases, facilitate that, allow that to happen, and then merely sit back and wait. And you didn't have to wait long. We're talking just a matter of days normally before some of these weapons are recovered in crime scenes on both sides of the border, but specifically in Mexico. Even then, when that weapon is recovered and traced, that's evidence to something, but you can't take down a cartel. You can't get to where they said we were trying to go by doing what we were doing.
Obviously, somebody at ATF, somebody in Justice Department said this is a good idea. Did their justification or their thinking ever filter down to the field so that you at least heard what they were saying, this is what this is all about?
Well, sir, like I say, I can tell you, I know that there are several individuals at our headquarters as well as Main Justice who thought this was a good idea, that this was a great case. It was our flagship case at that time, and but no one could ever explain to me how we were going to achieve the goal by the means at which we were operating.
Right.
Like there's never been an explanation to me how we were going to accomplish our mission by walking all the firearms that we did.
You knew this thing was going to go south, didn't you?
Oh, yes, sir.
Yeah, I mean, you knew.
It doesn't take much to figure it out.
Yeah, I mean, you knew. Look, we're going to basically facilitate sending guns to murderers, and then what? We're going to be surprised when they commit murders with them? I mean, it's kind of like, hello. And so when it finally, we knew it was going to happen, but then I think you may have been one of the ones who said, look, some good guys are going to get hurt here. And then when Border Patrol agent Brian Terry was killed, that had to be like, a weird feeling where you're thinking, yeah, I knew this was going to happen. At the same time, it's a horrible thing.
Right, yes, sir. I knew it was going to happen, but at the same time, I desperately hoped that it wouldn't. I even asked them in May of 2010, during one of the many times I was challenging the strategy on this, if they were prepared to go to a Border Patrol agent's funeral or a Cochise County deputy's funeral and watch that widow accept that folded flag, because it's not a matter of when it's or if it's going to happen. It's only a matter of when.
Obviously, your questions fell on deaf ears. They continued the program. Brian Terry was, in fact, murdered. Some of the Fast and Furious guns were found there, and at many other crime scenes, murder scenes. At what point were you told basically to shut up about this?
Well, there were several points, actually, sir, when I was told that. I was, initially what they would tell me was that I didn't, this was the way they were going to do things, that they knew better than I did, that I was from Virginia, this is Phoenix, so they know more about firearms trafficking than I did. And then ultimately, sometime in that summer, pretty much after I had forewarned them that a Border Patrol agent was going to get killed, is when I just started getting the, shut up and be quiet. You don't know the definition of gun walking. You don't know what you're talking about. And ultimately, I was thrown out of the group and actually the entire division in October of 2010 and told not to come back.
You at Mike Vanderbilt, David Codria got this story. Eventually, they handed it to Cheryl Atkinson at CBS. You became a whistleblower, went before Congress, testified, obviously putting your job very much in jeopardy at this point. As someone who, you work in law enforcement, and when you work in law enforcement, you're pretty much a rule abider for the most part. I would think that's part of your makeup. That had to be huge for you to say, I'm going against this thing.
Well, it was and it wasn't. Yes, sir. I've always been told, and what I was taught in law enforcement is that we're held to a higher standard. We're always looked at with a certain degree of scrutiny or scrutiny. So you can't, there's no gray area. So as this was happening, and I knew that it was wrong, and then ultimately when Brian Terry is killed, and the actions that I observed my agency taken to distance the Fast and Furious investigation away from the murder of Brian Terry, that's not what we're about. I must have been sick today at the academy that they taught cover-up, because it's not in my manuals at all. And so it's, yes, I was going outside the norm, but to me it was what we were supposed to do. I always thought that was what was expected of me to do.
So you actually took your oath seriously.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. After you testified, I know it probably was ongoing, but at a certain point somewhere along the way, or maybe for a long period of time, you started getting repercussions for your actions. What was done in terms of isolating you? What was done to you by the ATF in justice?
I try not to dwell on the bad parts of it, but it's, there's a lot that happened. And actually, when I testified was kind of a relief in that, because that was the first time that I was out in the open and joined by other ATF agents. Anyone that saw the testimony knows that Agent Casa was there, as well as Agent Furselli. But until that point, it was pretty much just me. So the time from when I originally blew the whistle until I testified was when I received some of the greatest ramifications. They had tried to have me indicted at some point. They surveilled me. They were on my phones and emails and GPS trackers, and dug into my past, leaked personnel documents of mine to friendly media sources to try to do hit pieces on me. Mm-hmm. It was a very troubling time.
Basically, you had the force of the U.S. government, the Justice Department, working against you because you wanted to tell the truth about the murder of a Border Patrol agent that was preventable. Bottom line, this was utterly preventable. And the program, and I've said this many times, because the media keeps saying this is a botched program, and it was not a botched program. The program actually functioned exactly as designed. It was just that the program itself was a horrible idea.
That's correct, sir. I get kind of sensitive when I hear those terms botched, or a sting operation that went bad, or some guns got away, or something like that. We didn't. I didn't zig when I should have zagged. We didn't mess anything up. We were doing exactly what we were told to do, exactly what the play was.
Right.
So there was nothing botched. And as for your comment about DOJ and everything being after me, like you said, I've been under oath since I was 18 years old in one capacity or another, and the very government that I have been under oath, to protect and serve this Constitution and defend it with my own life, and many times, put my life on the line to do so. Now I was its enemy, like it was out to get me.
Is there one thing where you say the public just doesn't understand about the whole Fast and Furious thing? Because it's been my sense that the public really doesn't get what happened there.
Right, and I agree, and that's a part of the huge motivation about writing the book is, there's so many, but when it was in the news and the media outlets were reporting on it, there was a little bit here and a little bit there, and it wasn't all put together. I don't think anybody could really understand it in its entirety, and that's kind of what I was trying to do. That, look, it wasn't a botched program. We didn't mess anything up. Nothing got away from us. This is what we were doing, and ultimately, nobody still can answer that question as to why or whose idea this was, who implemented it, and if your stated goal is the truth about taking down a cartel, then fine. Explain to us, to the American people, how we were going to do that by doing what we were doing.
Well, exactly. And essentially, nobody at Justice has been held responsible or accountable for this at this point. The book is The Unarmed Truth, My Fight to Blow the Whistle and Expose Fast and Furious by John Dodson, and it's available on Amazon. John, is there any place in particular you'd like to direct people to get a copy of this?
No, sir. Like I say, it's available on Amazon and I think Barnes & Noble and other places on the internet. And I just, I hope people can read up on it and get it from my point of view and still realize that there's a lot more questions to ask, that haven't been answered yet. And also there's a lot of other people out there like me that are under oath still that, they can make a difference too, that they can stand up, they can say no to things like this, and hopefully it'll inspire them to do so.
You do not have to follow illegal orders.
Correct, absolutely.
I mean, that's the bottom line for John Dodson. Thank you. You, in fact, are really a great American, I will say that. And I've always said, look, there are a lot of great ATF agents. We got problems at the top, but the guys on the ground, guys and gals on the ground, are some really good law enforcement officers. Thank you so much. I recommend this book highly. And carry on. You're somebody that a lot of folks ought to be looking up to. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
All right, John Dodson, currently with the ATF. Don't know how that's going to work out. You got to get a copy of this book. It's called The Unarmed Truth. You can actually go to guntalk.com. Check out Tom's picks. That's my books. You can just click on it there. Go to guntalk.com. You'll find that book there. 866 Talk Guns. What do you think of this man who bucked it all and put himself at risk? 866 Talk Guns.
Be a more accurate and confident shooter. Get a Crimson Trace laser and light. If you're holding it, you're aiming it. That's called instinctive activation. Crimson Trace invented it. Get the best deal on Crimson Trace lasers and lights at OpticsPlanet.com. Optics Planet carries thousands of rifle scopes, red dot sights, holsters, safes, knives, apparel, and the full line of Crimson Trace lasers and lights at OpticsPlanet.com.
The XDM 3.8 Compact from Springfield Armory is 2 guns in 1. Use as your concealed carry gun with a compact magazine and use the extended magazine for home defense. Carry 13 rounds of 9mm in the compact magazine and a whopping 19 rounds in the extended magazine. To see the entire family of Springfield Armory XDM pistols, go to SpringfieldArmory.com. That's SpringfieldArmory.com.
TopGunSupply.com carries a large selection of fine firearms and accessories. Get all the parts you need for your Sig Sauer, HK, and Glock pistols. Grips, screws, recoil springs, sights, barrels, magazines, holsters. The list goes on. Our knowledgeable sales staff, professional service, great prices, and super fast shipping are here to help you. Check us out today. TopGunSupply.com. TopGunSupply.com.
The .45 Auto, also known as the 1911, is the standard other defensive pistols are measured against. No matter what pistol you carry, techniques developed around the 1911 are vital. You know you need training, and you know your concealed carry class definitely was not training. Now Gun Talk presents an exciting DVD, Fighting with the 1911 with Tiger McKee. Tiger's unique training style will have you drawing, moving, shooting, and running your gun better, no matter what style pistol you prefer. At ShopGunTalk.com, you can order our DVDs of Tiger's instruction. ShopGunTalk.com also has a 2-DVD set, including Concealed Carry 1. Get both for the information you know you need. This really is life and death. ShopGunTalk.com has DVDs, books, and other essential gear. ShopGunTalk.com. That's ShopGunTalk.com.
Wouldn't it be cool if you could use your AR magazines in a bolt-action rifle? Now you can with Mossberg's MVP rifles. The patent-pending design is a first for bolt-action rifles. Choose from 5.56 and 223 to 204 Ruger, 300 AAC Blackout, and 308. Varmint, Predator, Patrol, and MVP Flex System models. Adjustable trigger too. AR mags in a bolt rifle. The Mossberg MVP. See more at Mossberg.com.
From day's first light till night's last glimmer, your satisfaction is our responsibility. On the range or in the field of duty, you can rely on Brownell's lifetime guaranteed gun parts, tools, and supplies. Anytime, any place. It's how we've done business since 1939. Brownell's.
December, it's the Mossberg On Patrol giveaway. Grand prize, a scoped Mossberg MVP Patrol 5.56 rifle with 10-round magazine. Other prizes include a Mossberg wall neon, ultimate backpack, soft-side shotgun cases, and baseball hats. Enter at guntalk.com/win. Now, back to Tom.
All right, back with you. 866-TALK-GUN will get you in here. Let's talk with John on line 3. He's in Wasilla, Alaska. Hey, John, you must be getting all these emails about this lead smelter closing.
Well, unfortunately, I don't have a computer, but yeah, I'm a little perplexed at what's going on here, and I'm wondering if there's any way you shed any more light on it.
Yeah, in fact,
up here, ammo is just so hard to get, and we're the end of the trail here, so to speak,
sure,
as far as shipping and stuff goes.
Well, it's hard to get everywhere. It's getting better, but the lead smelter has absolutely nothing to do with that. The reason ammo has been hard to get is because we bought it all. We simply bought up all the supply, and we're continuing to do that. But it's getting better. Okay, in fact, it's interesting you would call in. Even as you called in, I had in my hand a piece I wanted to talk about with this. We're all getting these emails right now about this last of the lead smelters closing down. The EPA is closing it down. It's a gun control measure. It's going to run prices up on ammo. None of it's true. Well, one of it's true. The smelter is closing down. Everything else, not true. Not going to affect ammo. Not going to affect the price of ammo. Not going to affect the availability of ammo. This is according to the NRA, to the National Shooting Sports Foundation, the Sierra, who makes ammo and bullets, Federal, who makes ammo and bullets. It's just not an issue. It's not going to affect anything. And so every time we get these emails, we need to be telling people, stop sending me that stuff. It's not true.
Well, at least I'm not a contributor. I don't have a computer.
Well,
right,
and the only thing
I appreciate the work you guys do and really enjoy your program up here.
Thanks so much, John. I appreciate it. Yeah, and as far as finding ammo, all you can do is just keep looking. And yeah, the one thing I worry about, it's a good point, Jim. People are going to use this smelter closing as impetus to run out and buy more ammo, thus creating a shortage. And then they'll say, see, I told you that the lead smelter thing was going to cause a shortage. No. You got scared by the boogeyman again, and you went out and bought up all the ammo again. I don't know. I don't know what you can do about it because the ammo companies are not going to make any more. They can't make any more. They're making all they can make right now. You found an ammo in your area? Give me a call. Let me know what you're seeing on the shelves.
Have you taken your family, friends, and kids shooting lately? You're listening to Tom Gresham's Gun Talk, and we'll be right back. Want to be a guest on the show? Drop us a line at info@guntalk.com. You're listening to Gun Talk with Tom Gresham.
All right. You can reach us at 866-825-5486. A couple of other ways to get a hold of me. Over on Twitter, I'm at Gun Talk, and I'll be jumping over there in just a second, seeing what people are saying. If you got a question or a comment, throw it up on Twitter. We'll read it on the air, maybe, if we like it. Also, you can shoot me an email, tom@guntalk.com. It's always fun having old friends on, and I like to hang around with interesting people, and this is like one of the more interesting people around. In fact, he may be out there in the running for the most interesting man in the world. Silvio Calabi is joining us right now. He's the co-author of the gun book for girls. Hey, Silvio, how are you doing?
Hey, Tom, I'm well. How are you?
Well, great. I mean, this is obviously a follow-up to your first one of this type, the gun book for boys. So, what happened? Did you get beat about the head and shoulders, and people made you bring out the gun book for girls?
That's a good question. We told the publisher originally we wanted to call it the gun book for kids, and they said, no, this is going to be for boys. We said, all right. Well, when the gun book for boys came out, the first dozen or so people we heard from said, hey, this is fabulous, but what am I going to give my daughter or my granddaughter? So when we got done laughing at the publisher, we said, look, this is a great intro. We just got to make this a trilogy.
Well, yeah.
The gun book for boys, the gun book for parents, which both of those are out, and now the gun book for girls.
There you go. I mean, I'm flipping through it. I'm seeing Kim Rohde in here. She was 17 when she won her first Olympic medal. You have other women. The only woman shooter I didn't see in here, maybe I missed it, was Annie Oakley.
I think she gets a mention in here, but
okay.
When you start doing the research, you find that the list of famous or well-known women shooters is amazingly long. And the other thing behind this, of course, is the fact that when you look at the tremendous growth in the shooting sports that's happening right now,
right.
Most of this, as you well know, is coming from the female side. And women have, they approach this, I think, in a much more clear-headed way than men do. We're a little too macho. Women, or I should say girls, in this case, they want to know things like, recoil is a good example.
Okay.
No guy is going to say, "Oh, recoil, is that going to hurt me?" We're too macho to do that. But women aren't. They'll say, "Is this going to hurt? Am I going to drop this thing?"
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So there's a section in here on recoil that, in hindsight, I wish we had put in the boys' book as well. But it talks about, what is recoil? Does it hurt? How do you deal with it? Can you get rid of it entirely? If the gun moves when you fire it, how is it that we can actually hit something? And so on and so forth. And it, wound up being being very interesting. And even people like you and I who've been shooters all our lives, we can read something like this and say, "Oh, I never thought of this."
Well, I was just going to mention that what I found is, in going through this, is I would say 90+% of this is not at all specific to women or to girls, but is just good, solid information about guns and shooting and hunting and conservation and calibers and action types and basically everything that people would want to know about how guns are used in everything. So it's a great rundown. It's really a primer on everything about guns.
Yeah, it is, and the gun book for girls is 40 or 50 pages longer than the gun book for boys, partly because we thought of some things like recoil that we wish we had put in the boys' book. So it's really a misnomer to think of it as the gun book for girls. It's the gun book for people in our enlightened day and age. There is quite a bit in here about famous shooters who happen to be men, but there's quite a bit about well-known or famous shooters or gun designers or gun manufacturers or hunting guides or whatever who happen to be women as well.
I mean, I'm looking here. You got suppressors and machine guns and Gatling gun and Mikhail Kalashnikov and the AK and shotguns side by sides and how to clean your guns and the thing is, these pieces, the individual pieces in here are, I'm ballparking it, you're probably looking at 400 to 600 words each. I mean, it's very, very much bite-sized nuggets you've got in here.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. When we set out to write these books, we used what we think of as the box of chocolates approach. You don't have to start on page 1 and read all the way through to page 250. You can open this up anywhere and find, as you said, a bite-sized nugget that is a story unto itself, whether it's the history of the AK-47 or the Second Amendment or how to clean your gun or what is skeet, that can be read in its entirety in 15 minutes, half an hour, whatever. Mm-hmm. And if there's some things in there you don't understand, some terms, well, there's a glossary at the front of the book that explains all that.
Uh-huh. So, obviously, we're looking at the gun book for girls. Do you have an idea? I'm sure people ask you. I'd love to get your answer to it because they asked me. At what age should you start introducing a youngster to shooting?
Yeah, I've been asked that quite a bit. You cannot put a number on it. Some of us mature faster than others. Some of us much more slowly than others. But in general, and this is only general, we use age 12 as sort of the starting point. When we wrote these books, the reader that we always had in our mind's eye, however, was a sharp, inquisitive, clear-thinking 14-year-old, be it a boy or a girl. Doesn't mean a 12-year-old can't read it, or an 18-year-old can't read it, or a 35-year-old. But that's who we sort of had in mind.
Okay, makes sense to me. And you have, obviously, you've taught a lot of people to shoot, but people may not know, those who don't know, you have been an active shooter and hunter pretty much all your life, I would gather. And would it be fair to say that wing shooting is your big deal?
Yes. I have to admit, though, when I was about 10, and I got started early in this with a BB gun. Someone told me about shooting birds with pellets, a cluster of pellets that spread out in the air. And I remember clearly being horrified and thinking, "Oh my God, that's shooting, isn't it? With a cluster of pellets?" Well, I've spent the rest of my life trying to sort of overcome that and realizing that and trying to become a good wing shot. But I also love going to Africa and hunting big game.
Yes, obviously. So where can people get a copy of The Gun Book for Girls? Well,
the very best place to buy it online at Amazon.com because they have the best possible price. It's published by Shooting Sportsman Books, Shooting Sportsman, publisher of the famous magazine, the same name. And you can certainly go online and buy it from shootingsportsman.com, but between us, it always has the best price.
Okay, and if they're having trouble remembering the name of it, all they have to do is go to my website, guntalk.com. We actually have it up on my picks, Tom's Picks, and the link there will take you straight to Amazon where you can buy it. So, yeah, and you're right, it's a good price on Amazon. It's called The Gun Book for Girls, and you can get it in time for Christmas, which I would suggest is probably a really good time to pick it up. Silvio, I think you guys did a great job with this one.
Thank you, Tom. I appreciate it. It's good to hear that from an insider like you.
Well, it's well worthwhile, and what's going to happen is going to be an awful lot of daddies who are going to buy this for their daughters, and it's liable to be well used, and pages have been well turned before she gets a chance to open it. Because once they look at it, they're going to go, "Oh, wow, that's interesting. I'm going to read," and there we go. So.
Yeah, that's exactly what happens. I think we tell the girls early on in the book, look, don't let your grandfather, father, your older brother, whoever get this, because you may not get it back for a while.
I think that's exactly right. Thank you, Silvio. Well done.
Hey, my pleasure. Thank you.
All right, you take care. It's called The Gun Book for Girls. You can go to guntalk.com. Check out Tom's Picks. That's the books and the DVDs that I like. And it's right up there at the beginning, and you can click on that and you can order it. Get it in time for Christmas. All right, 866-TALK-GUN. What are you seeing out there? Is there ammo available? And are you starting to see already all of the gun ban industry getting together to take advantage of the 1-year anniversary of Newtown? We'll be talking about that when we come back.
Save up to $50 at CrimsonTrace.com. Laser sighting systems from Crimson Trace will make you a more accurate and confident shooter. No personal protection firearm is fully equipped without a laser sighting system from Crimson Trace. Visit CrimsonTrace.com November 29th through December 25th and save up to $50 on the one tool no personal protection firearm should be without. A Crimson Trace laser sight. Save up to $50 now through Christmas Day at CrimsonTrace.com.
If you're looking for a safe and trusted way to sell your firearms, look no further than Dury's Gun Shop. I trusted them to sell my dad's collection. They built their business for over 50 years on honesty and customer service. Dury's Guns will buy any size collection or estate, none too big or too small. Selling your firearms to Dury's Guns is easy. Go with the pros. I trust Dury's Guns. Dury'sGuns.com.
No matter what gun you have, you want it to hit harder, shoot faster and flatter, and be more accurate. You get all that with the ammunition from Double Tap. Double Tap's experts select the best bullets, then load them to higher velocities while keeping safe pressures. Shoot small groups. Shoot farther. Use custom hunting loads in your handgun or rifle. Even fire 2 projectiles with one shot. DoubleTapAmmo.com. That's DoubleTapAmmo.com.
The Ruger American Rifle is a 100% American-made firearm that offers outstanding performance at a great price. Available in standard size and compact models, it features power bedding integral bedding blocks, a Ruger Marksman adjustable trigger, a flush-fit 4-round rotary magazine, and a 3-lug bolt with 70-degree throw. Compact models feature a shorter length of pull and a shorter barrel for a reduction in overall length of more than 5 inches. The Ruger American Rifle, another rugged and reliable firearm from Ruger.
Are you looking for a place to shoot? The National Shooting Sports Foundation has a great website called wheretoshoot.org. It's the largest database of shooting ranges on the internet. It's also a great resource for shooters where you can find video tips, printable targets, and a lot more. Find it online at wheretoshoot.org. And while you're there, download their free iPhone app. That's wheretoshoot.org.
What do LaserMax customers say about LaserMax lasers?
I'm alive because of your company. I was robbed at gunpoint. 2 of my 3 shots hit their intended target, and I was able to remove the threat. I made it home to my wife alive.
For shooting accuracy and training, it's a life-saving tool critical to any firearm.
I trust your products with my life. Thank you.
To learn more about LaserMax, go to lasermax.com. That's LaserMax.com. LaserMax.
If Gun Talk is ever preempted by a sporting event on your local station, you can download the current show or any show on our website. Log on to guntalk.com and click listen. Now, more Gun Talk.
Did you happen to hear the news or see the news about Melissa Bachman? She's a outdoor show TV host, hunter. Posted a picture of her with an African lion that she killed on a legal hunt in South Africa. The uproar, the lefties went crazy. Somebody in South Africa started a petition of the government to ban her from ever coming back into the country. More and more, I mean, it's just unbelievable, the outrage, the death threats. It's insane. That combined with the fact that the Dallas Safari Club is auctioning off a rhino hunt, a hunt for a black rhino, that was put together by the government, I believe it's Namibia, as a way to make money for conservation. And the people at the Dallas Safari Club now have gotten death threats, people saying their children should be killed. It's pretty insane. We'll be talking about that in just a few minutes. It's just nuts what some of these people are doing. Some of the tolerance of the anti-gunners, the anti-hunters, the pacifists out there who call for the murder of children. It would be amusing if it were not so serious and disturbing. It just is. Let's go line 2. Jameson's with us out of Memphis, Tennessee. Jameson, what caliber's got you scratching your head now?
Hello, Tom. Well, I've heard you talk about the 223 for home defense, and I had an AK-74, a 5.45 by 39. I just wondered if you'd ever tested it.
I have not actually had a chance to run that through some walls like I have the 223. I would expect you're going to get a similar situation. You're using a 22 caliber bullet going roughly in the ballpark of 3,000 feet per second. I think you're going to get the same thing where you're not going to get full penetration through more than a couple of walls. But I say that I think because I haven't not had a chance to check that out yet. But that 5.45 by 39, the great part about that is sometimes you can find ammo really cheap for that. The only thing you have to be careful of is make sure you have non-corrosive ammo for that. But, yeah, interesting. You can, for those who have ARs, you can get an upper that will fire the 5.45 by 39, drop it on top of your AR, and that'll run. So an option for you. But, no, I've not tried that. Sorry, James, I couldn't help you out with that one. When we come back, we are going to be talking about this attack on this woman who's a hunter. She posted pictures of her trophy animals online, and then, you know what it is? They really hate it when women hunt. They hate it when women use guns. Somehow, the antis see that as a betrayal of their very core beliefs.
You don't have to agree with Tom to participate in the show. Call now with any of your concerns about guns, gun rights, or particular firearms, or suggestions for your shooting activity or personal protection. 1-866-825-5486. Gun Talk is coming right back.
We do get into some esoteric stuff around here occasionally, and Chris is on line one. He's got one of those for sure, calling out of Utah. So, Chris, go for it. This is not one I'd heard of before, but I understand it. What in the world is getting inside your guns?
Well, we got these mud dauber wasps here in southern Utah, and I just found 4 of my guns, the barrels plugged, about an inch down in the front. But these mud daubers, these little insects, they put a little worm in there and put the mud in to seal it in. And me and my friends have been finding these quite a bit. I think that's where these bulge barrels are coming from, and people don't realize that they got a plug barrel. And I have a 17 infield sitting here, and it's even got the little hole in the bolt plugged up by them. And they just come in when you got a gun sitting horizontal on the wall, and they come flying in, get in your cabin in your house, and they plug your barrels full. And I'm just warning people they ought to check their barrels and make sure they ain't got a mud dauber nest in their barrels, especially 32 caliber, 35 caliber.
Yeah, I mean, mud daubers or dirt daubers, they love to plug up holes. I'm a pilot, and they will get into the pitot tube hole. That's why we keep a cover on our pitot tube hole, our cover on our pitot tube, actually, to keep that from happening. And, yeah, I don't know what it is, but they love to plug them up. And for those who don't know, when they put this mud in there and it dries, it's like having a solid rock in the bore of your barrel, and it would absolutely be a terrible obstruction if you fired it. How did you originally figure out that you had mud in your barrel from these mud daubers?
Well, I've checked my guns quite a bit. All my guns are upside down, sitting on little caps upside down on the floor, so it protects the crown, so these things can't get in. I've been noticing this for years. I've actually watched them going in and out of the barrel and actually doing it in these sheds and these cabins we got. And they just, especially with commemorative rifles that haven't been oiled quite a bit and stuff that are sitting up on the wall, horizontal, these things will crawl in the barrel and raise havoc, and people go out to shoot one, and they don't know what they're in for if they haven't checked that bore. So,
it's interesting. If I pick up a gun that I haven't shot for any period of time, I will pull the bolt and look down the barrel, or if it's an AR type, I will shine a light into the action and then look down the barrel to make sure I can see the light for exactly that reason.
That's right. It's really bad. My friends had 2 rifles plugged. I had 4 here. My places here, so it's pretty prevalent problem, I guess. I don't know. People better check their barrels.
It's a good heads up. I appreciate that. Thank you, sir. It's always a good idea to be checking the barrel. I mean, and people say, well, I don't want to look down the barrel. Yeah, I know, I get it. But look, if you've got the action open and you're shining a flashlight into the action, say it's an AR, just for instance, or a shotgun, you know that there's not a cartridge in there. You just checked. And you can look down the barrel to make sure you can see the light. If it's dark and you know you're shining a light into the barrel, then something is blocking the light. You got to get it out of there. That's when you get out your cleaning rod and go to work on it. He mentioned keeping your gun barrel down. I know some people, I think Chris does it also, as a way of preventing oil in the action from going into the stock. But I got to tell you, if you have that much oil on your action, you are over-oiling. You never, ever spray oil onto your gun. No. You spray, if you're going to use a spray, you spray it onto a cleaning cloth, and then you wipe down your gun. But you don't spray oil onto your gun, because that, in and of itself, is too much oil. Great point. Jim points out, he says, yeah, unless it's an AR, then you douse. Yeah, it's a good point. ARs, for whatever reason, like to be wet. They are kind of the anomaly. They're the exception that proves the rule. Everything else you don't want to over-oil. It's almost impossible to over-oil an AR, and you need a good lube for that. Slip 2000 is one that a lot of people like to use, so just kind of a heads up on that. When we come back, we're going to be talking about the attacks on hunters by people who don't understand that hunters are the ultimate conservationists. Hunters are the ones who pay for conservation. I also like to get your take. What are you seeing out there? Is ammo available? And we're still looking for your thoughts on Christmas presents. If you're either you got something in mind or you're looking for some help, call me, tell me who you're looking for. I can help you fill out your Christmas list.
No black helicopters here, just the facts about gun rights and gun ownership. This is Gun Talk.